Megan Driscoll, and I'm the founder and CEO of Evolved MKD, and I'm an outlier.
Welcome to Outlier on Air with Ever Gonzalez, the show where we interview the founders, disruptors, and mavens of the world. Learn how grit, failure, and success are all a part of the entrepreneurial journey.
Hey everybody, welcome to Outlier on Air, the podcast where we interview founders, disruptors, and mavens. As always, I'm your host, Ever Gonzalez. On today's episode, we have Megan Driscoll. She is the CEO of Evolved MKD. Megan, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ever. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here for a few different reasons. One of them being that you're in a space that we're really interested in, so we want to really get to know you and Evolve MKD. You know, what makes you tick, the good, the bad, and the ugly of your entrepreneur journey, and just basically kind of get to know you, and hopefully we can learn some important lessons from your story that we can kind of use in our own lives. So thank you for being on.
And thank you again for having me. I'm happy to tell you all the good, the bad, the ugly.
So let's do this real quick. Where are you calling us from right now?
I'm calling you from New York, New York. My office is in Chelsea, which for those folks that aren't familiar with New York, that is downtown Manhattan, right by Italy. So good area, very convenient, and very quote unquote hip.
Nice. So, you know, when we think about New York, we think bigger firms, right? Big money, that kind of stuff. What's the entrepreneurial vibe or the startup scene there in New York?
I think from my perspective, the startup scene is pretty interesting. So I think generally New Yorkers tend to be more type A than your average folk. So when you take the type A of a New Yorker and then elevate it to being an entrepreneur, it definitely gets even more intense. I think entrepreneurs here, no matter what industry you're in, whether it's tech, whether it's, marketing services like my business, or whether it's, private equity, I think when people in New York start a company, they really look at dominating the world, not just starting a new business.
Nice. So you're in a good spot? I mean, you're enjoying it? Is this going to be home for the next 10 years or so?
Yeah, I mean, I am a born and bred New Yorker. I was born in Brooklyn, New York.
Nice.
Took a brief detour to New Jersey during my teenage years, and then went to Chicago, but then moved quickly back to New York because I do think it's the best city in the whole world. But yeah, I think for the next, for the foreseeable future, I'll always have a base here, and the company will obviously always have a base here. I do think as we think about expanding, one of the things that I've been kind of debating is geographically, if we were to have another office, where does that make sense? Both from like a client perspective, a work perspective, a people perspective, and then the fun tax, financial, regulatory environment perspective.
So is there anything you want to announce here on our show, or is this something you're still thinking about?
I'm still thinking about it. But when I'm ready to announce, I'll let you know.
Nice. Good. Well, congrats. New York is a great place, and if you can make it there, right, you can make it anywhere. So your next move is going to be pretty easy, I think.
Yeah, let's hope.
Now let's talk about. I kind of want to work backwards. Let's talk about what you're working on now. What Evolve MKD? Tell us what it is and how it got started.
Sure. We Evolve MKD is a PR and social media agency. We focus in the beauty, healthcare, and lifestyle arena. So we work with clients that have brands or products or services that generally kind of live in one or two of those three areas. Our services really range. They range from what you would expect from kind of a typical public relations shop, which are media relations, events, work with celebrities, influencers, and then we actually have a whole side of the business that's digital. So we handle social media, platform engagement, content creation, some of those advertising through the key platforms, and then just staying on top of the kind of trends and the new things happening in the industry, because I think on both sides of our business, with the news media and the online space, both of those areas are changing quite rapidly every day. So that's a big part of our job. And then right now, really, I would say our clients are a pretty interesting mix. We have clients that range from global pharmaceutical companies to clients that are small biotech startups to kind of skincare lines that have been out for a couple of years but are still kind of looking to find their niche. So it's pretty interesting. I mean, every day is definitely different. Whenever I get asked by candidates, like, what's your typical day, there really isn't one.
Nice.
And I think one of the things that we've been very fortunate, and one of the rules that I have for looking at potential clients, is that we want to make sure that they, have a business that we feel is sustainable, a product that we believe in, and also that they are not jerks. So we've been pretty lucky that we have no jerks. So that's been great. I'm hoping to continue the streak.
That's huge. One of the reasons that I want to kind of paint the picture of where you were asking about New York, right? There are big companies, there are big firms doing exactly what you're doing. How do you compare to them, and how are you different? I mean, is this a competitive advantage that you're who you are and how you're doing business right now?
Yeah. So I think there are definitely overlap between us and some of the established agencies like an Edelman or like a Flesch and Hillard. But I think the things that set us apart are, one, we are very selective about who we work with. So my main goal has always been quality, not quantity. And I think that kind of comes through in the choices that we make. Number two, culture is very important to me. So that's something that, even though we've only been around for 2.5 years, we make an effort to really have a culture, one of self-respect, one of, believing that people should have lives outside of the office. And, we've also made philanthropy a cornerstone of our business. And then finally, I think one of the big ways that we differ is, since we're sort of still more of in the boutique size, we can be much more nimble. I'm like not tied to, a P&L or such strict financial, delivering a financial number to a holding company, that I'm able to be a little bit more creative in how we work with clients, how we bill them, and also the size of clients we take on too, right? There have been times where, we've taken equity, for a smaller retainer or whatnot. And I think I think that does set us apart from some of their larger agencies. And also a lot of the clients that I started with have been with me a long time. So I really look long-term in terms of client relationships and what's really a long-term investment. And whether, that pays off with that person at that business or whether that person goes to another business. I found that they always remember that and they call us. So that's why most of our business has been gained at this point through referral, which we're very fortunate.
Yeah. So are most of your clients in New York or are they all over the place?
Actually, we have no clients in New York.
Oh, really?
I just paid our LLC fee and we have zero. So they're pretty much all over the place. Couple in New Jersey. We have a few in North Carolina, California, Arizona. We also work with an international company that's based in Germany, and have done some work with them in Korea and Taiwan and the UK. So even though we're, small, I would say, in footprint, we kind of expand the globe with our work. So it's been really interesting.
As we were doing some research on you, obviously, because you're coming on the show, we found some of your case studies, right? And you're working with some pretty good brands and some pretty good companies, but you're only, 2.5 years old, right?
Yeah.
As an organization. How were you able to ramp up that quickly?
Honestly, if you had told me 2.5 years ago that this is where we would be, we're at 18 employees right now, all women. So if there are any dudes out there that are looking to get into PR and social, we are accepting guys, just don't have any yet. But yeah, I think a lot of it just is, truly it showed me the fact that we ramped up so quickly is that the quality of your work and the quality of like you as a person, your reputation, and kind of sticking to your word and being honest and truthful. I think it showed me that people really remember that, and actually still value that, even though, the news today and some of the things happening in the world seem to say the opposite. But I think that really has helped us to grow so fast, is I think they know that because of my reputation that when we say we're going to do something, we will do it and we will over deliver.
I want to get back to the all women being employed at your place in just a sec. But before we get there, what What has been the toughest part then? Again, being this young, having this much success already. What were some of the pain points?
I think the biggest pain point truly has been access to credit, and finding a bank that really is interested in having a relationship, like similar to the way I treat my clients. Like really what I learned is like banks actually don't operate that way anymore. And that was really alarming. I mean, you would think I have perfect credit, was making money like 6 months into business, and no bank really was interested in banking with me, extending me a credit line. It was very challenging. So that I would say has been the biggest, I kind of bump along the road. Now luckily that we're 2.5 years old, apparently you hit 2 years and it's a magic number. So we're starting to kind of come out of that. But I would say for people who are looking to start businesses, just be prepared for that and make sure that your personal financial situation is like as flawless as it can be. And that you've also thought about, do you need to do like a friends and family fundraising round? Do you have enough savings? Like all of these things, because truly that is a huge headache.
You're preaching to the choir, right? I love your background. I love what you're doing. One of the things that I read about you was that in the beginning, it was your savings, right? I mean, it was your own money to kind of get started. What was that like? Right? I mean, here you are, you're doubling down, basically. You're saying, I'm all in. Either it's going to go or it's not, and I'm not going to have any savings left. What was that like, that process?
Honestly, it was pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
Because, you're looking at, I was looking at years that I had really worked to not only save, but also to get out of debt. Because when you start in PR, you literally make $2, basically like indentured servitude. And you're living in Manhattan, where everything is like 10 times more expensive than anywhere else in the world. So, so that was very scary because I felt like, what if this didn't work out? Was I taking all these years of hard work and kind of throwing it away? But then also what I realize now, kind of being removed from it, is that truly the scariest thing about starting a business is really deciding to start it. And then once you're kind of in it and you're busy and you're working, some of that fear, it never truly goes away, but some of it subsides. And honestly, like I am so happy that it is self-funded because I call the shots.
For sure.
And that's one of the things that like I continue to value every day, that if I want to make an investment hire, if I want to market something, if I want to take on an account that's smaller, but I think has so much like long-term potential, I can do that. I don't have to convince a partner or a boss or someone else or an investor to allow me to do that. So
great story. You're positioned beautifully, right? It feels like obviously you've seen some success, but still your own terms. There aren't any strings attached to you for the most part as of right now. So congratulations, and that's that alone sets you apart from many other entrepreneurs that are either because they needed to or because they just chose to, doing it the other way. So for you, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Now let's get back to the to your team, all women. Was that a strategic move, or did that just kind of happen?
So PR is primarily made up of females. So it looks very strategic, but it truly just happens naturally. I will say that most of our brands do have a focus on women. So I think that's also why women are kind of attracted to work here. And then a lot of the charity and philanthropy we do is also female focused. So it ties together very nicely. So
it makes sense.
It does make sense.
I was going to ask you, when I learned that it was all women, but I guess in PR, like you mentioned, it's a little bit different where it's almost dominated by women. If it was I don't know, an advantage or disadvantage to have all women on your staff, but I guess it doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah, I would say that it definitely, there are times with clients that I think it would be helpful to have a man. I just think truly like the world is used to operating more so men in power. So I have noticed with clients, luckily this has been very rare and such a small percentage, but there have been clients and potential clients in different parts of the country that I think we would have either A, won, or B, have had an easier time with if I did have a senior leader on my team who is a guy. But we don't. So, I think I think that also says something about that potential client. So, it's just, I think it's definitely been a learning. I think when I got into this, besides kind of the financial learnings, I also did learn that there is something different about being a female business owner than being a man. And I'm sure I'm not a minority, but I'm sure for minority business owners, it's probably a different experience too. And that was very surprising to me, that people kind of relate to you differently, that there's a little bit of, you can see like a prejudice there. And I was completely surprised by that because I've never really experienced that in my entire life. But there's still a long way, I think, for women to go in business to kind of truly shatter that glass ceiling. So gender just is a non-issue.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. And it doesn't seem to have slowed you down very much, which is very encouraging. And so you must be doing something right in the way you approach business and your potential clients.
Yeah, I try to, I think treating everyone with respect, and also I have a great sense of humor. So I think that helps a lot too. And for anyone thinking about opening a business out there, I would say having a good sense of humor definitely gets you through the tough times. If you can laugh, then you still got a shot. So,
with PR and marketing, right, which is what you focus on for the most part, would you consider that an art or a science, or a little bit of both?
That's a great question. I think it's in the industries that we're in, I think it's a little bit of both, honestly. I think especially on the digital space, there are tons of metrics and there is actually a science to getting success and to, showing success. And even on the traditional media side, there is truly a science to how you reach out to press, to understanding the positioning of your product, the client. But then there is also an art, right? Because a lot of this is relationships. I think everything now is incredibly visual that's online. So that is very much an art. So that's been, to get to the root of your question, I think that's a question we ask ourselves every day as we're looking to hire people. Too, is, do you want more like left brain or right brain? Because I think we're always accessing both of those in our day-to-day work. And it's truly actually hard to find people who kind of are a little bit of both. Usually folks are like one or the other. So,
well, let's talk about your personal background then. Coming up in the ranks, what were you doing? Were you running marketing teams? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I was. So I basically started as an intern when I graduated from the University of Chicago. I had a full-time job offer from Merrill Lynch, and I turned that down because I didn't want to wear pantyhose to work every day. And I was like, this PR thing sounds like it could be fun. And I started working at Edelman, worked my way up to left Edelman, went to Fleishman Hillard, kind of worked my way up there for a little bit. Then worked with a smaller agency here in the city called Lippy Taylor, and that's really where I got my kind of aesthetics, like beauty experience to round off my healthcare experience. And then worked a little bit overseas with another agency here in the city, a larger agency, and then was recruited to be a partner at the last agency I was at, and worked there for just under 5 years. And that was a wonderful experience because it really showed me kind of all the ins and outs of running a business. And then I always say that, like some romantic marriages, business marriages don't work out. Mm-hmm. So when it was clear that that wasn't going to work, I was kind of at a crossroads. And my husband, actually, and my attorney really sat me down and were like, this is your chance. Like, this is the universe, like, pushing you to do this. And I was like, you're right. If I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it at all. So I took the plunge, and I was able to bring 3 clients of mine over from my old agency over to Evolve. And I opened up the week after Labor Day with 3 accounts and no employees. And then really just kind of dug in, started with kind of a freelance staff at first. Quickly learned that really wasn't a good model When you're dealing with client service, you really want, I think, a core of full-time people. And then you tap into freelancers kind of as you need them, if you need them. And then just saw every year, just saw it grow. At the end of those 4 months ending 2014, I was already up to a full-time staff of 3 with like 3 freelancers. And at the end of 2015, I was at 12 people and had signed an office lease. And then at the end of last year, I was at 18 people. So yeah, it just has been growing every year. And I think, this year our focus really is on diversification, looking at kind of expanding within the industries we're in and getting some new client relationships. And also, like I mentioned earlier, taking a look at like the future of our business, where geographically we want to expand to, what capabilities we want to offer. I get bored really easily, so I channel that into constantly thinking about how the business can improve and how we can not necessarily get bigger, but I think get better.
So now with your background right, in PR and marketing, with that, and then now running a business, are you doing both? I mean, where do you spend most of your time? Kind of running these campaigns or running the company?
It's honestly a 50-50 split. I just hired a new senior person, and I'm looking to take myself, out of the day-to-day as much as I can. I always want to have close relationships with our clients. I think that's really important. But I think there's a way to do that and kind of not be the one like doing all the time. Sure. So I would say, it's 50-50 now, but I would say at the end of this year, I'm hoping it's more like 75-25.
Nice. And so are you going to miss working with the clients a little bit? Because obviously up until now, it's been a lot of your time. Are you okay with that part of it?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. I love working with clients, but I'm hoping that if I can build out my back office a little bit more, like some of the admin business stuff that you get like sucked into as an owner, like HR and things like that. I'm actually hoping if I can build that out a little bit, then really I can keep my time focused on like the business financials, overseeing kind of the back office or having someone who reports to me who oversees it, business development, and then current client work. So
nice. Fantastic. So right now, 2.5 years into it, almost 3 years into it, what scares you the most?
I think the scariest thing would be if we peaked. Like if this was like as good as it was going to get, and if we never kind of changed our offerings or never expanded as individuals, our scope, that would be my biggest fear. I never want to become a dinosaur.
So what are you doing to keeping that from happening?
So I hire people that are a lot smarter than I am.
Nice.
So they keep me fresh on everything and challenge my ideas. I also, I talked a little bit about fear before. I think what's valuable as a business owner is to use fear to drive you. So since I know that is a fear of mine, I've identified it. I'm constantly looking for opportunities to learn. I'm taking a course at Harvard over the summer. I've joined the Women's President Organization to kind of expand and network with other female business owners. I'm constantly asking for advice, new perspectives. And I think I'm staying intellectually curious, which I think helps a lot.
Oh, for sure. That should never go away, right? Hopefully.
Yep, hopefully.
So right now, then, overall, what are you the best at? What do you do better than anybody else?
I think the best thing I do right now is that when clients interact with me, they walk away from the interaction feeling confident that their work's going to get done and that they are going to look like all-stars. Nice.
That's huge, right?
I think that's a big differentiation point.
Do you get any pushback from clients? Because I'm assuming you listen, but then you also present ideas, obviously because of your experience. Do you get any pushback from clients thinking, well, maybe that's not the right direction to go in, or anything like that? And if so, how do you deal with it?
Yeah, we always get pushback. I welcome the pushback because I certainly don't think that our ideas are always the best or always like fully baked. And I think client pushback can be really valuable to help elevate your idea to the next level. So yeah, the great news is I think when you have a good client partnership, you can have that kind of dialogue with each other without it turning like uncomfortable or nasty. And our clients like always kind of not do battle with us, but we definitely have, intense dialogue because we're all coming from the same place. We want our work to be the best possible work it can be. And I think work only gets there if you have those kinds of conversations.
And so you welcome it. That's great.
Yes.
Now with everything that you're doing, and we kind of touched on it a little bit, but in 3 years, when we have you back on the show to talk to you again, what's it going to look like? What are we going to be talking about?
I think we're going to be talking about new capabilities that we're offering. I think we're going to be talking about potentially new industries that we're in, and I would hope that I would be telling you about not one, but 2 new offices that I have.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. That's great. So now let's talk about, at the end of the day, right, when all of this is said and done, career-wise, life-wise, whatever, how do you want to be remembered?
I think I want to be remembered as someone who allowed her employees to really kind of be the stewards of their own career. And whether it was staying at Evolve forever or using Evolve as a launch pad or, as something that a company that they passed through on the way to like whatever they were supposed to be doing. I want people to remember this as a place where we allowed people to be themselves and to get in touch with what they were truly like meant to be. And then from kind of an external perspective, I'd like to be remembered as a company who not only did great work, but also kind of took that work to make the world a little bit of a better place, even if it was in a very small way.
Well, it certainly sounds like you're well on your way to that, right?
I'm trying every day.
Good. We can see it for sure. Now, as we start to wind down here a little bit, we mentioned that a lot of our listeners are young entrepreneurs, also a lot of 9-to-5ers that are looking to kind of jump into their own entrepreneurial ventures. With all of your experience and all the things that you've seen and done, what kind of advice do you have for us? Something that we can kind of take into our lives now to kind of get us to that next level.
Yeah, I would say that, a few things. I would say one, I think having a good support system around you, no matter what phase of your business you're in, and I don't think it needs to be a spouse. I think it could be your parents or friends or other family, neighbors, whoever. I think having that support and having that sounding board so that it helps you kind of think about what your next move is and you're getting advice from people who really know you and know what's important to you. And then secondly, I would also say, I read a lot of statistics that, 50% of new businesses fail and like all these things. I would say to kind of ignore the outside noise and really just, if you've identified what you want to do, you think it's a good idea, you have research to back it up, go for it. Don't let kind of outside voices deter you or let fear kind of take over. Not doing something that can really change your life and the quality of your life.
That's huge. We see it all the time, so that's great advice. I appreciate you taking the time to do that. Now, for those of us that are interested, that want to either know more about you or the agency and just kind of want to connect with you, where can we find you online?
Sure. So you can go. Our website is www.evolvemkd. You can also find Evolve MKD on Facebook, Instagram. You can find us on Twitter, and then you can find me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook as well.
Nice. So Outliers, you can go to outliermagazine.co. That's outliermagazine.co. First of all, subscribe to the podcast, rate, review it. But there we're going to have Megan's website, links to social media accounts. Feel free to reach out to her. Obviously, she's the real deal. She knows what she's doing. Say hello or just follow her on social media. Megan, this has been amazing. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us or sharing your words of wisdom and for just being able to connect with our audience. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And I can't wait to come back in 3 years.
Absolutely. We're going to do it. It's going to be awesome.
Sounds good.
Outliers, we'll talk to you tomorrow.